Okay, so for our lesson plan, our unit was the water cycle, and the content areas we focused on were reading and writing, and this was for 3rd grade. So then our content objectives were determine the main idea of a text, recount the key details, and explain how they support the main idea. So then we said students will be able to identify the main idea of a text, students will be able to identify key details of a text, students will be able to use key details to support the main idea of a text, students will be able to identify different parts of the water cycle, students will be able to write about different parts of the water cycle, and students will be able to identify the parts of the water cycle seen outside and record it in their science journals. So basically we're taking our science unit and incorporating it into our objective, and we're taking the reading and writing parts out of it as well.
For our language objectives, we had students will be able to demonstrate key vocabulary in their 2nd language. Students will be able to use the sentence frame, when blank falls from the sky, it's called blank. Students will be able to recount details and determine what is important by using a diagram. Students will be able to write about the water cycle using sentence starters, and students will be able to orally explain how the water cycle works during using sentence frames.
Our WIDA standards were ELD Standard 2, Language Arts, and ELD Standard 4, Science, because we just love language arts and science.
And then supplementary materials, we decided on a word wall, vocabulary cards, water cycle diagram, a science journal, and a KWL chart. All things that we thought would help enhance the learning of each student.
The prerequisite skills we put were basic knowledge of forms of water, basic understanding of the purpose of using a graphic organizer, and basic knowledge of how temperature affects water. So basically, once they already have this basic background knowledge, they're able to add on to it by learning more about the water cycle and how that works. And understanding the purpose of a graphic organizer helps them realize what they're using it for and how it can help them and what information to include.
For sociocultural context, our register was casual and academic. Our genre / text type is informative. Water cycle was our topic, and the task / situation for the students would be to explain the main concepts and details from the song and create your own. And the song that is described will be, we'll play it later on, and they'll be able to create their own song from that. And then for participants' social role / identity, each participant will collaborate and share ideas to form a new song.
For our building background, we started and maintain a unit KWL chart. We incorporate songs and repetitive to lay foundation, vocabulary, and information. Utilize multiple texts throughout the unit to learn about numerous topics. Teacher asks about any prior experience or knowledge of the water cycle, and then we discuss the water cycle and how it affects them, which this really does help the students talk about their experience, because it helps them learn more about the water cycle and more about the vocabulary words.
And then we also have comprehensible input. So we have create and discuss comprehensible objectives with students, use visual / models to enhance the learning, give students clear direction throughout the unit by going through slowly one by one and demonstrating the steps, provide students with feedback throughout the unit by walking around while they're working and collecting the work, simplifying the text and vocabulary when needed, gradual release of responsibility throughout the unit, and then refer back to students to the word wall throughout the unit and use science journals to encourage writing about the water cycle. And these are all to help students just get a better education and just to enhance all their learning and make sure that every student has the scaffolds needed.
So our vocabulary for general, we said wind, sun and heat, water, ice, glaciers, plants, lakes, rivers, oceans, liquid, solid, rain, and snow. So these are basically just like the different types of precipitation and energy and different water forms. For specific, we had temperature, humidity, vapor, freshwater, atmosphere, erosion, and water cycle. And then for technical, we had evaporation, condensation, precipitation, transpiration, and accumulation. So those are the different parts of the water cycle that we're focusing on.
For sentence level, we have a few examples listed, and that would be blank loses water through blank, high blank cause blank, and when blank falls from the sky, it's called blank, and students would use their vocabulary that was just listed to fill in those blanks, and could even like a word bank could be provided for students who are still practicing their second language or just need a little extra help with it.
For the discourse level, we did watch the water cycle song, and then the link is right underneath it, and then determine the important facts and vocab words within the song, and explain the main concepts and details from the song. I personally like having songs in lesson plans because it's easier for them to learn, it's easier for me to learn. If it's catchy, they'll most likely learn the song faster than just going over vocab words.